Hi everyone, welcome to the very first episode of the Club Ken podcast. My name is Kendall Drummond, and this podcast was created to tell the stories behind the people and athletes that I had the privilege of knowing throughout my journey as a soccer player. And there's no better person to start this journey with than my very first guest, my mom, Tikama Drummond. I truly would not be where I'm at without the help and support of my mom. Due to my dad being deployed several times throughout my childhood while serving in the Air Force, my mom became that person who saw everything and was there for everything day to day. She was the one who was cooking dinner every night for my sister and I, driving me to practice, sitting through games, giving me advice in the car, dealing with my attitude after a loss, and just making sure I had every opportunity to be successful. She did all of that while working full-time as Master Sergeant Drummond and also while getting her master's degree in anthropology. She still somehow found a way to pour everything she had in making sure that my sister and I were able to reach our dreams. Over the years, my mom and I definitely bumped heads, especially when it came to soccer. She would see things one way and I would see them completely different. Sometimes I felt pressure, sometimes I didn't want to hear her criticism or talk about my performance after a game. And I know that there were moments where neither of us truly understood one another. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that she wanted me to become the best version of myself, not just as a soccer player, but as a person. I also think a lot of athletes can relate to this tension with their parents. Sports can bring incredible opportunities, but they can also create pressure, stress, expectations, and emotional moments that families don't really understand how to navigate. Sometimes athletes feel overwhelmed trying to balance all the expectations and pressure put on by coaches, their teammates, and even their parents at times. Sometimes parents are just simply trying to help without knowing really the best way to go about it. Even through all of that, there has never been a bigger supporter, witness, and believer in my journey than my mom. For the past 17 years, she has been there through every high and low when it comes to soccer. She has sacrificed time, energy, sleep, and just so much of herself to make sure that I was able to live out my dreams. And truly, I'm just so incredibly grateful that I got to have both of my parents by my side throughout my whole soccer journey. This episode, I really want my mom to share her perspective on all the emotions, thoughts, and experiences that come with supporting and raising an athlete through all stages of development. I really believe conversations like this can help athletes and parents better understand each other. So without further ado, the first guest on the Club Ken podcast, my mom, Tikama Drummond. Well, guys, this is my mom, Tikama Drummond. Mom, welcome. How does it feel to be the first guest on the Club Ken podcast?
I'm nervous.
Nervous?
Not sure what to say, but happy for you that you're getting it started.
Why are you nervous?
I don't know. You're going to ask me some tough questions.
I'm not going to ask you any tough questions. When did you kind of realize soccer was getting really serious for me and for you and obviously the family? Walk me through that moment.
I think as far as it getting serious, so of course military family, from Florida to Hawaii to New Jersey, even though New Jersey became competitive, I still don't think that I had my head wrapped around this could go to college.
Right.
And it was when we came here to Florida and you joined your first team here in Florida was Florida Flames.
Yeah.
Again, you were doing well there. They began to talk more deeply about the different levels of soccer, the DA.
Yeah.
And they wanted you not to play high school, and they wanted you really to start just concentrating on those things. And then the college schools started reaching out.
Yeah.
They would go to showcases, and the schools started reaching out. And I think for me, ninth grade for you is when it
really
kind of clicked. Yeah, that you could go further than just playing in intramural sports.
Kind of growing up, did you know college was a possibility to play soccer for me or no?
I don't think I thought about it.
I didn't think about it either. I remember at a TBU practice, because after West Florida Flames I went to TBU, this girl, she came up to me and she was like, "Are you committed?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm committed," thinking she was like, "Are you committed to the sport?" And so I'm like, "Yeah, I'm committed." And then she was like, "Oh, where are you going?" And I'm like, "I'm not going anywhere. I'm committed though." But it's just I feel both of us were kind of deer in the headlights when it came to soccer, and a lot of people who we know, like teammates, they start their kids in club at 4 and at 5 and at like super duper young. So I feel like for the both of us, we were kind of just learning as we went on, right?
Yeah, because people would come up and say, "Who's her trainer?" And I'm like, "What trainer? She doesn't have a trainer. Who does she train with?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Nobody."
Nobody.
So I think because you were just naturally, you picked up the sport and you did well in multiple positions, because you were fast, because you, I think, just understood the game intuitively.
Yeah.
You did well, and
Right.
that just began, thankfully, to translate as you went through the higher levels of play.
Yeah. You mentioned the recruiting process, and that kind of was a good segue into our next conversation. Recruiting process, I feel like was, I think, the first time when I realized, like, okay, I'm not doing the best mentally, because there is a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, and I think we were going through the recruiting process during COVID. So it was like we're talking to all these big schools, and then COVID hit, peak of COVID, like all of that just stopped, and I think that was just really hard for me. But as a parent, can you kind of give me insight into how that recruiting process felt for you, and to like see me get recruited and all that stuff?
I don't think I was as worried as you were.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Did you recognize that I was worried?
Only towards the very end. Yeah. And I think especially initially because there was just so many schools reaching out at first. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a breeze. She'll have her pick of where she wants to go. And like I said, COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the conversations began to slow down because no one really knew what was going to happen with COVID, how long the pandemic was going to last. And so at that point, it was only a few schools that was still like really just checking in with you and wanting to talk. And even some of the D1 schools that was checking in, I remember we didn't really like what they had to say.
Yeah, because it was heavily soccer, but soccer can only take you so far. And I think Mom and we both had our struggles with school and stuff. And so I think my mom's main concern was just making sure that I was in an environment that really catered and tailored to my education process just as much as they did on the soccer side.
100%.
Yeah.
We had coaches who would say, you're going to have to figure that part out because soccer is priority.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of knew that wasn't the place. And I was glad because I was glad you didn't get caught up on the name of a school instead of what you were going to school for.
Yeah.
And that was to get an education. And you understood that soccer may have an end date.
Yeah.
And that you needed to be able to go to school, play soccer, have a life.
Yeah, that's very true.
And that you didn't just go to school to sit on a bench. Like, you were going to play. You weren't going to this bigger name school and not get any playtime.
Yeah.
It was a little bit strange because you hadn't been to camp in a while. You weren't really talking to some of the schools that you wanted previously.
Yeah.
But you're like, I'm going to go to this camp. And so you and Daddy went to the camp.
Yeah.
I didn't go to the camp with you guys, but before you even got back, I got a phone call from the coach. And she was like, hey, is Kendall there? I'd like to talk to Kendall. I was like, well, she went to your camp. She's not back yet. She's like, well, I'll give her a call. We want her to come to Eckerd. And I was like, oh, okay, wow. So Dad had called, and he was texting during the camp. He's like, she's actually doing very well against some of the kids.
Actually,
she's
crazy.
A standout. He's like, she's standing out. I don't know what the coaches are seeing, but she's doing some stuff I've never seen her do before. And so I think that just translated into how quickly the coaches also saw that.
Yeah.
And they reached out to you same day.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was just a very relieving experience for me. But I think a lot of athletes go through this recruiting process thinking like it's like the end of the world if I don't commit to my dream school or like that big D1 school. But it really does all work out. And I think I had so much success at Eckerd College, and I had so much fun being there and being so close to home, having Mom and Dad come to my games if they weren't, in Bora Bora or Jamaica or Aruba or wherever they go. But obviously, Mom, you love sports. You used to be that neighborhood athlete? Yeah. What did you play with the kids?
Everything.
Like what?
From football to track.
Track.
To we didn't really think about soccer back then. But when I grew up, intramural sports, it was really only football or cheerleading. That's all that was there. And in school, periodically, we'll throw a basketball or volleyball around, but it wasn't like it is now.
Right.
You could do that.
Club
So
and stuff.
I was that girl. I was the neighborhood track star.
She was a tomboy.
I was definitely a tomboy. And I think if we had kind of more organized sports beyond football at the time, and more money.
Yes.
We didn't have money to just pay for
uniform.
Been now.
Yeah.
So I probably would have done well, but you can ask some of my neighborhood friends.
She always says this.
Chad Sanders.
Chad. You ask Deke. Jerk.
I was the running back. I was the quarterback.
I wish I could see it. I gotta see it to believe it.
To run the boys and beat them.
But she swears she knows soccer.
I do know soccer. I know it well enough that I could have probably coached. Now, I can't run longer than 30 seconds, but coming forward. Center, step in. Step up. Step. Sweep. Win.
Anyways, this was a segue to also talk about all the other athletes you know in your life, despite me, besides me, what's the word? Beside me. But as from your perspective, not just with me, but athletes in general, what do you see a common struggle is that worries you as a parent?
I think in general, as I see, not like I said, not just with you. I think the pressure to be number one, the pressure to commit, the pressure to have people looking at you, it is starting so early.
So early.
I think for today's athlete, and like I talked about, we didn't have intramurals. So when I was racing, we had a field behind our house. When we were playing football in the field and we were racing in the street with no shoes, it really allowed us to hone a passion for the game. And I think now kids don't get to do that because it's about performance and how many stats can I get, how many people are looking, I got to get a social media page. I think it doesn't allow them to, one, just enjoy the sport, and one, to just develop the true instincts of the sport. I think some of them can be overcoached, they're being taught technique early, but what about your natural instinct, and what about your natural passion for the game? And I think that's why it's so easy for some of them to get burned out, because they don't get to experience things outside of the sports world. You don't get to just be a kid and lay around on a Saturday. You don't just get to kind of just bum it out and hang out with your friends and just do things, because everything becomes so structured. And I would say that was a change from our Hawaii days, where you had 1 or 2 practices a week and you had a game on Saturday, to move it into club, where it was 3 and 4 nights of the week to 10 o'clock at night. You're out at practice, and then every weekend, regardless of Mother's Day or Father's Day or holiday,
you're out. You're out of town.
You're on a constant go.
Huge
and
commitment.
You have to still maintain school and try to build friendship relationships outside of the intended sport. So I think that's just my worry, that kids are experiencing so much pressure so fast to have to be recognized, to have to rank in their sport, and have to perform so highly
at a young age.
At such a young age.
And that's what I'm saying. I think my whole journey, as I'm able to reflect on it, has been a blessing in disguise, because I think I was able to develop that sort of passion and just have it as a hobby. And I'm grateful, because I was not in such high demand environment for a lot of my developmental years. And even though when we went to club, our first club, I feel was great.
That team had to be one of the best places for you foundationally for a few reasons.
List them.
Number one, there's not a lot of black kids that play soccer.
Right.
And when Coach Chris introduced us to the team, I remember going the first time, and I was like, wait, there's 4 other black girls. And so most people probably don't think about that as just kind of being something you check for on a team, but literally from the time you started at 4 years old, until you hit that MLU team, you were the only person of color on your soccer team. And so to walk into that environment with other girls who just literally enjoyed playing with each other.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the times I think you really felt like, one, you belonged. And you guys were playing high level of soccer.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like a lot of
Pressure. Yes.
It was fun in between the games.
Yeah.
The way you guys would connect outside of soccer. You guys would hang out and connect with each other. And also the parents.
The parents were great.
The parents.
Like, if I could just go back to that time, and I know Dad, if he was up here, he'd say the exact same thing. We had the best time, and I know the parents had a good time. We used to come in the lobby, drinks, and it was just
Parents
really fun to see. Yeah.
Like, it just really felt like a community of people who encouraged their kids to play. There wasn't a whole lot of cattiness. Like, you always have somebody who has a competitive bone. Yeah. But there wasn't a lot of cattiness. And like you said, it wasn't, oh, I'm a starter, I'm a this, I'm a that.
It really wasn't.
It literally was, everybody was working together.
Yeah.
As a team. And you guys did well.
Yeah. We did well.
And I just appreciate that being an environment, like I said, where you could just kind of put some roots into soccer, not just from foundational, but from the point where there was community and there was just true friendships.
Yeah,
that you
100%.
Forge. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was really big for me when it came time for making my decision at Eckerd. I was like, I don't, because high school and the club teams that I was on, I was pretty much the only black girl. And it's hard to almost explain how difficult it could be, because I don't think in the moment you really realize how much you do self-isolate and how hyper-vigilant you really are in spaces like that. And people are like, oh, like, we're all just one big team. But it's like, it felt like you guys were a team and I was on the side. And I feel like I was just a very, very quiet individual. And so then when I got to Eckerd and I saw that there were like 5, 8, it was a good number of black girls when I first got to the team. Yeah. That was a huge reason why I wanted to commit there, because I was like, I see girls who look like me. So one, they grew up in playing this predominantly white sport, probably going through the same things I have. And I know how much resilience that takes. And I'm like, I know I'm about to go into this team playing with resilient, hardworking girls. And I did.
There's definitely something to shared experiences.
Yeah.
And I appreciate just people on the team in general, like you said, who were kind and who wanted to help mentor and make the soccer community inviting. Yeah. But if we're being honest, there was different experiences that I know that you had to kind of have than others on your team, from, if we're going to really talk about it, officials in the game, where you would get called and flagged for minor offenses that no one else would get called for. And at first I was like, okay, I'm overreacting. That's not happening. Nobody's doing that. But when you experience that time and time again, where you become the target of a particular referee, and I know even in high school that became a thing. And again, your high school coach Pete, she's mentioned times where she's had to interact with referees just because they kind of lock in on you, and you would get called out a lot. And we never really
talked about
that.
No.
Because I didn't want you to use that as, oh my gosh,
an excuse. Yeah. And I never did. I never wanted to.
Just play.
Just play, yeah.
Just play. But you understood that
could be a possibility.
And then, even in college when that would happen, there was other parents. Not going to name names.
My adoptive mother. I love her.
Miss Lauren.
Yes.
When other people begin to see that, I think even as a parent, I appreciate that so much, because it's like, I'm not just
being crazy,
making this up. And, we always want to think that people have the best interest and good intentions, but there were definitely moments where I think race played a part in just some of the outcomes of calls. Yeah. And, you didn't have the luxury of being upset in a game because you would get carded. You didn't have the luxury of
yelling back or showing frustration.
Exactly.
Cussing at a referee and
Yeah.
walking away. I knew that. I have dealt with racism on teams and stuff, and I didn't even tell my mom when things were going on because I know her, and I was just like, I can deal with this. I can get through it, but it is hard. It definitely is hard, and it's isolating, but I'm glad we talked about that. I wasn't planning for us to talk about that.
I mean, but that's a part of the journey.
It really is, and a huge part of my journey, for sure. What is something that you always wanted to tell me, or something that you did that you don't think I really understood in the moment?
I think we kind of hit on it already.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not some. I think I've said to you, so many times how proud I was of the athlete you were, and just the person. Like, beyond the athletic part, like, you're truly just a genuine and kind person. No, I'm being serious. Like you are. And so I think the one thing that I really wish you understood in that moment is that, me pushing you and encouraging you wasn't because I didn't think that you were good enough or you did a good enough job. And I know there's times that I would say, Kendall, next time, if you're like, oh, yeah, I just did it. It wasn't about that. And like I said, even though no, I'm not a coach, you can ask any parent about their kid, and I guarantee you they know their kid better than the coaches that they're working with. Yeah. And so when I would try to offer that insight, I think you thought that I was saying like you didn't do well enough, or you could have done more in the sense of worked harder. And it wasn't that. It was just like there are things that you can tweak to up your game, but you took it as a little more like I was, like I said, you weren't working hard enough. Yeah. So I wish you understood that it was always because I thought you did a phenomenal job, but there were just tweaks that I think if you made them, it would have just upped your game a little bit more. 100%.
And I can really speak on that because I think I really felt it senior year. I felt a lot of pressure, not like from you, and because Daddy, he doesn't really say anything, but I think I felt a lot of pressure from you because we would have those conversations, and that's exactly how I viewed it. Like I wasn't doing something enough, or I'm like, Mom, did you just not see this or that, or just something? Like, I'm trying as best as I can. Like, I'm doing everything. I had a good game. I'm scoring goals, making plays, and I come off the field, and the first thing you're saying is, good, but. And I'm just like, dang, like, when is it just going to be good? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that was just very hard for me in the moment. But now, post-soccer, that I do understand that you were just coming from a place of love and just wanting me to, like, push harder and to do all that stuff. And I think that was hard because, coaches are saying I'm doing well, teammates, people around me saying I'm doing well. But it's just like when it came to you, it was just good, but you needed X, Y, and Z. I know how you play. And it's like, dang, I'm playing. Like, see this part. You know what I mean?
But I think, too, back to a previous part of our conversation, I could see that you were pulling back. Like, I don't care if you had
a senior year?
Not just senior year. Like, this is when you were playing in general, how we're talking about that that need to not do so well.
I can talk about that.
That you put yourself out in front of other people. I could see times where you would pull back, and I'm like, ooh, she pulled up right here. Ooh, you did that. So to other people who don't really know or have seen you in full swing, of course they're going to think it's a good job. Yeah. But I've seen you
that makes sense
excel beyond that, and I know what you can do. And that's what I mean when I say parents know their kids. Yeah. Like, I know, had you gone full out, what the outcome could have been. Now, hindsight is 20/20. As a parent, now I understood that its timing could have been better, right? Yeah. In that moment, just to give you your flowers and then maybe have a conversation on the back end. But I could see times where, I know you'd score 2 and 3 goals. In high school, you were killing it and scoring,
high school's high school.
Whether it's high school is still part of how you form who you are as a player, right? Yeah. Every time you step on the pitch, you're reinforcing who you are as a player. And so that's the times I think where I saw, like, why isn't she doing her thing?
Yeah. But I also think if you came to me again with the hyper vigilance and, you know, caring about other people during my time as like a soccer player, I wouldn't have admitted that like I'm doing now. I think I would have actually been very defensive and
Of course.
and getting upset because it's like no, you're wrong, but it's like, yeah, you're right. And you could see it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't feel it. And I think senior years when I experienced burnout, and from not just you, but from multiple areas. And even in myself, I'm like, I'm slow to the ball. I'm slow to this. I don't have much energy. Like, I'm not working hard enough. So already I was just like really hard on myself. And then I was hard on myself. I didn't feel like a good captain. I didn't feel like a good teammate. I felt numb. Like, I felt like I didn't know who I was. We were at Umatilla. So much stuff was happening there. And then I felt pressure from you way more than I ever had. So I think in general that was just a really hard year and very isolating. Like, I felt like I didn't know how to talk to people about it, and that's why we need sports psych.
For sure.
But yeah.
Just as you're mentioning that, like, especially you're saying the pressure from me, it goes back to, like, I see the leadership in you, and in the same breath I see the hesitancy for you to walk in that.
Yeah.
Because you are afraid of how other people are going to respond. And I think the pressure...
Why are you outing me right now? Mom, I have this demeanor, like I'm hard. Like, everybody's like, Kendall's hard.
She's
like,
soft as cotton tissue.
Everyone's like, Kendall is the hardest person.
She's not the hardest person at all. And if you are hard, like, those things would have happened. But I think the conflict between you and I came because you were so hesitant to walk into those spaces where your voice was needed. And it goes back to, you know, part of the things I know that you're working on now is how to stand in your truth, regardless of how people feel about what you say. And
what I do.
And what you do.
What in my life.
In your life, on the soccer field, whatever. And I just thought, as a captain, that was the perfect time for you to practice. Like we said, you're practicing who you're going to be.
Yeah.
And in those spaces, like I said, you just were not willing to step forward in full swing. You did things that you thought would be helpful, but I'm like, you're the captain. And if you're the captain, step into it, have conversations on both sides of the field, and you're just like, no, because this is going to happen. And no, it's like you've already played the scenario out.
Yeah.
And so, but I mean, that's my job as a mom, like, to absorb some of the pushback, but it's still going to be my job to push you in those areas that I know and I see that I know you can flourish.
Yeah.
Even when you're hesitant, I'm going to push you because I can see, again, things about
that
you
I can't see,
that you don't yet see in yourself.
And I think that's the whole thing. I think though I was a very successful soccer player and I may have appeared a certain way to people, like confident, whatever, I had a really hard time believing in myself. And I think that's where what you're talking about right now, like, you say I'm a leader, okay? I don't feel like a leader. Like, I feel like I'm a leader by example, but when it comes to like speaking and my words and stuff, like, I'll literally be talking and in the back of my head I'll hear shut up, no one cares. Like, it's just I have a really hard time believing in myself. But I think as I'm growing up, I'm realizing the importance it is to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in you. Except for you. Even with this podcast, do you know how many times I'm like, no, this is stupid. I don't want to do this anymore. But it's like, no, this is something I want to do. This is something I think I'll do a good job at. Let's just do it. Let's just see how it goes with no expectation.
I guess I have a couple questions for you.
Let them be nice and reflective. Don't make them too challenging.
You can tell me what to ask. So I wrote them down in my book, but I kind of remember a couple of them. So 17 years of soccer, from just rec to club to college. Now that particular era has closed, what and how do you, well, one, how do you feel about that? And number two, what hobbies or other activities are you looking at to engage into?
Very interesting question. Um, I feel good now. I think I'm able to be very proud of myself for the work and the longevity that I've put into soccer. I think a proudness that I failed to feel when I was playing soccer. I'm very grateful for the relationships that I've made through soccer. I've made like all of my friends through soccer, the coaches that have inspired me, and all of that I'm just very grateful for. But like, and I said this before, but after soccer ended, it was really hard for me because I got all my validation from that. I was kind of the soccer player. I feel like I wasn't the best in school or really had confidence anywhere else besides soccer. And so when that ended, it was kind of like, okay, well, who am I now? What do I do now? Um, and I was able to finish senior year because I think I just needed a break. But when I went to Miami to start my grad program, I think I was just really craving a team at that point, and um, just to feel connected to people and not to have that was very hard and also eye opening because it's like, how do you make friends, Kendall? Like, actually, because I'd show up to practice, kick a few balls around, make a little joke, and I'd have friends, you know. But I guess now it's a little bit harder. But I feel like I'm going in the right direction. I'm still in a career field that incorporates sports, and obviously I love doing film and stuff like that. So I thought this was a good thing to give myself a sense of purpose. And I think that's working. As far as hobbies, and I feel like you and I have never talked about this, but I like to write. I write screenwrites. Sorry, I'm like really embarrassed saying that. I have no idea why, but literally I think only a few people know that, but I write all the time, and I'm working on like a few projects right now of like movies or TV shows, but that brings me a lot of joy. And it's also something you and I have talked about that I probably should have done more with film and with broadcasting and with movies and screenplays in college and high school. But again, athletes tend to get very tunnel vision when it comes to soccer, and you don't want to dabble in something else because it might take your attention away from school or from soccer. So I've I've been doing that since the summer now. I mean, I've always kind of started working on it throughout life. Like in COVID, I was like writing things in my notes, but just recently I've had the time to, get a software for writing screenplays, coming up with ideas, writing things down, and hopefully to enter some like a screenwriting contest in the future. Not surprised.
No. I've always said that. Like, that's one of the things I think you're good at, and I appreciate, that point of view, that back to kids being pushed into a sport so early
Yeah.
that they can't develop other things and other passions.
Yeah.
Right. So I always thought you did fantastic at film, even putting together little videography pieces that you do, and that you're so creative. And I'm glad to hear that. Knowing what you know now, all the experiences, good, bad, indifferent, what would Kendall, who struggled in school, right?
Oh my
From
gosh.
your own admission, who's now a grad student with straight A's in grad school, who can now look back at some of the experiences with an objective mind and view, what would you say to the younger version of yourself who may be starting the journey?
So I would tell my younger self to just live and to just enjoy everything, and to, I don't know, just stop being so scared. Like, just scaredness comes to my head all the time. Like, I used to live in such fear that people wouldn't accept me, that people wouldn't love me. And I know we had just kind of had a conversation about this like a month ago, but that fear is still real, and it fluctuates. But I think I'm also in a direction where I'm so freaking tired of being scared, and I'm so tired of not believing in myself, and um, feeling like I have to get the validation and approval from other people just to exist and just to matter. And that I'm just grateful that I'm going in the right direction, that I think is going to eliminate that fear and make me feel less like a chameleon and more sure of myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good word, because you definitely
I'm so scared of life. Like, I don't know.
blend in instead of standing
Yes.
out as you were intended.
Oh my
to do.
gosh, yes.
So
I look at all my pictures from high school and I'm like, who the freak is that girl? Sorry, Mom, I didn't cuss.
being that I know this was about kind of sports in general, as a parent to someone who played sports for so many years, but now that that is not the main focus of your life right now, and I don't have to coordinate your carpools to soccer or take you here or there and do things like that, what kind of support as your mom now would you like from me as you enter this next phase?
That's a really good question, and I don't know the answer to that question. Maybe I feel like support, but you do that. Like, I feel like you've been supporting me financially, supporting me emotionally. Why are you looking like that? Am I getting cut off?
Yes, you are.
What are you looking at? I don't know. I think in this next phase of life, like, I just want you to honestly. Wait, what was the question? What do I need from you?
Yeah, in this space.
I need you to live your life. And I think about this all the time, like, truly, like, from Jersey, from Dad being deployed, like, you have done so freaking much for me and Cameron. And I've seen how you've had to put your career on the back burner. You fell into being a mother when that was not your dream to be a mother. You wanted to travel. You wanted to do all this. And I know I make fun of you and Daddy a lot for going on trips, and I'll talk about it with my friends. Like, yeah, they're in Jamaica this week. But truly, that brings me such joy to see you and Dad being able to, like, one, figure your relationship out. And because Daddy was gone, and he'll always say, like, he wasn't gone that much, but he was gone for a good amount of time. And I feel like for those very pivotal years, and I think those were very stressful years for you to have to deal with Cameron and I going through puberty and being teenagers alone, and Cam was doing Broadway and you were running to soccer practice and driving to Pennsylvania on days where you want to be like at the spa and stuff. So I think for me, you've done literally everything you possibly could have done as a parent and as an individual. Like, I think about how far you've come in your own personal life, from the house you grew up in to the house you live in now. Like, that's a movie in itself, like, truly. And I think my want for you is just to know that I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to be okay. But in this stage of my life, all I need for you is to, like, enjoy your life now and kind of reclaim back, I don't know, everything. I'm not going to say us kids are a burden or, like, we stopped you from living your life, but I feel like to a certain extent that happens when you have kids. And I know you're always like, empty nesters, like, and I used to get offended. But now I'm just like, no, you are empty nester, and, like, go enjoy it, because, Mom, you deserve it more than anybody I know. So I think that's just that's a way you can show up for me, is you show up for yourself. You like that? But I need a specific moment. Walk me through a moment or a game that was your absolutely favorite game of mine, that you'll never forget.
Would probably be the UT game, where you scored in the last 90 seconds of the game, and you tied the game 1-1. You and Brooke, she passed it to you,
Yeah.
and you hit a rocket in the corner.
Yeah.
And I mean, the crowd went crazy.
Insane, yeah.
And I'm at the game, but I always listen on my headphones to the announcer. I don't know why I like to hear what he's saying, but I was watching the game in real time, but listening to him and to hear him scream as announcing it, and to hear the crowd scream, I think that was my absolute favorite.
After this conversation, and kind of after everything that you know, now that I'm no longer playing soccer and you're done with the whole soccer mom title, what is something that you want to tell parents watching this?
I mean, I think in hindsight, I can tell parents to, one, just allow your kid to try multiple things. Don't let them get locked into one sport. I do feel like there are other things that you could have been so good at.
Yeah.
But again, we kind of fell into that soccer had been the primary goal. We don't have time to
For everything else.
explore everything else. I think allow them to try as many sports and as many activities as possible before
Yeah.
they really choose something. And I think the biggest part about it, my biggest lesson learned, that if your kid is playing a sport and you have an opinion as a parent, like give it 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like don't try to have conversations immediately with them. Kind of to your point, you do want them to know that you're proud and that they did enough. And then if you have something to add, kind of do it in a different moment so that it doesn't take away from their work. Maybe even causing, that self-doubt, like there wasn't enough done or things like that.
100%.
Let the coaches coach and be a parent here. On the other hand, just try not to let those roles merge too much, because your kid will need the support from the parent, not from that critical eye, not from a critical voice. During that journey.
Good message, Mom. And I hope parents are able to look at us as an example and have these conversations with their athletes. But as we're closing, we are closing, I am going to brag about my mother for a quick second, because I kind of touched on it. She is a huge worker. She has so much in her life to be proud of. Miss Master Sergeant Drummond, right? Master Sergeant Drummond. She's lived multiple lives. An ambulance. You used to drive ambulances.
Yeah,
20 EMT, 20 years in the military, kicking it at the VA as a supervisor. Am I allowed to say that? Okay.
Section chief.
Section chief. And I think also something I want to acknowledge you for is your ability to build connections with the people you work with. So I think there's a lot in your career that you should be proud of, not just because of the accolades or from serving your country, but from the experiences and the connections that you were able to make. But I want to ask you, what do you think, and taking a moment to reflect, because you weren't an athlete, but you're still in the military, and a little bit of what I'm learning about tailors to military as well. So I want to know what you think you're a moment in your career that you're most proud of.
I think what I am most proud of in my career is just kind of what you touched on. I kind of grew up as the underdog, not in sports, but just in general, right? Like didn't have a silver spoon. Although my family might say I was spoiled with what
Star.
we had.
Her nickname's Star.
Yeah, right. They might say that I was spoiled, but I mean, just obstacles at the time that were in my way that I didn't have the necessary guidance to, like nobody walked me through every stage. I kind of had to stumble through it. And so kind of being the underdog, I think I absolutely connect with people who are unseen, right? So
you do.
In my military career, I was kind of like the cleanup lady. If there was a department that was struggling, somehow I would get assigned to that department. And that department also had maybe some staff that other people didn't want to work with, or people didn't want to take the time to nurture and mentor. But when I went into that department, we always ended up on top, like from metrics to performance awards and things like that. So I think that's probably the one thing that I could say that I'm most proud of, is that I have ability to connect with people, and
you pour life into them, and you believe in them.
That's a good way to.
But you do have that ability to pour life into people, and that definitely shows in your workspace. So I'm glad that is. Did you want to add more? I kind of cut you off.
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, so that's your proudest moment?
My proudest moment is being able to take situations and literally what they say, make lemons out of lemonade.
Yeah.
Like, and I've had to do that, and I think that's what built my resilience. That's what allowed me to work with people who, like I said, had just kind of been unseen.
And then after you just said that, thinking about little Tikama with the gap and everything like that. Not even little Tikama. It could be Tikama who was 23 or anything.
Yeah.
Any stage of your life. What stage of your life would you want to tell her something, and what would it be?
I'd probably have to go back to the youngest version of me that I.
So no gap
Definitely
Tikama.
had the gap. Definitely had the gap and some little ponytails, and just didn't think I was as pretty as the other girls. Didn't think that I deserved to be in certain spaces, and I would definitely tell her how you start is not reflective of how you end, right? And that again, those are seasons.
Yeah.
And in each of those seasons, take every opportunity to learn more about yourself.
Yeah.
To learn more about who you think you want to be, and just enjoy the ride.
Just enjoy. Just live. Jabai. Just live. Live it up. Wake up and live.
Live.
In grad school, that's what I had on my ceiling. It said, "Wake up and live." And every day I woke up and I laid in bed, and I didn't live by it. But now I'm waking up and I'm living.
Very good.
So, with that has concluded the first episode of the of Club Ken podcast. Thank you, Mommy, again for being on this ride with me and going through that journey with me, and also taking the time out of your lovely Thursday evening to talk about what it's like to be a parent of athlete, and I appreciate it.
That's a wrap.
And that's a wrap, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Bye. But FYI, it's not that I didn't want to be a mom.
You didn't plan on it.
Didn't plan it.
Back to back.
Back to back.
13 months apart. We're not going to get into that. This isn't about biology.